Good evening. Thank you for joining me here at StampinByHannah. I'm here live on Facebook this evening. Sorry if I'm a little bit quiet. As usual, my darling daughter, who should have been asleep half an hour ago, is still awake. And she's across the corridor from me, so I don't want to speak too loudly. But do just let me know if there's a problem. If you are on Facebook and you can see the little red live thingy here, you are live with me. If that little red live logo isn't there, or you're watching me on YouTube, you are catching the replay. You are more than welcome to be here, it's not a problem, and do feel free to use the comments to ask any questions, because I will check back and answer any queries you've got. Exciting day today, really, because today is the first at Facebook Live using new product from this catalogue that I can now flick through. Now, I can see people that are, like, something's happened to my phone this evening, and I can see half of my chat and half of my lock screen. So what if you are commenting, I might not be able to see it, but I will go back and read comments later on. So I thought for this very first Facebook Live with the new catalogue, I would start right at the beginning and use the Beauty of the Earth suite. I love this. It's so pretty and kind of autumnal, but I think we can probably make it work for any season. But the paper really is kind of autumny colours, and I thought I would pull out all the ink pads that feature in this paper before we get going, because there's quite a few, and there's one here that there is one that I haven't got because I genuinely don't own all of the ink pads, because if I don't like it, I don't buy it. So we've got Old Olive, Night of Navy, Mossy Meadow, Early Espresso, Merry Merlot, Cinnamon Cider, Misty Moonlight and Bumblebee, and Cajun Craze, which is the colour I don't have. So there's loads of colour in this designer series paper, and it's so pretty. But there is a sheet in here that just screams out to me 6 cards from one piece of designer series paper. And I did this video maybe 5 years ago, and I love it, and I do it as often as I can, because it's really easy. It's a really great way to make lots of cards quickly. So, before we get into that, let's go through the designer series paper, because it's so stunning. I think I've turned it. So you've got, like, a really nice leafy print, and then something that's a little bit more kind of versatile, so a wood. This is the sheet we're going to use today, which is just stunning. And on the back of that you've got it's kind of like trees, watercolour trees. But I think you could, if you imagine like a little piece of that, you're going to get loads of use out of that. This sheet that's really pretty, and that's got some blue on the other side. That doesn't scream trees at all, does it? That's just gorgeous. I do love a bit of watercolour. This one I can see some fabulous Christmas cards coming from. I love the fact there's blue in it as well, because I'm not a green person, but I am a blue person. Some lovely autumnal colours. That which I think, like that sort of spirals, doesn't it? So pretty. And this one, which has got that on the back of it, and I've lost the other sheet of that. I haven't lost it, it's just in a pile of paperwork, designer series paper that I haven't yet dealt with, because the reason you are not looking at my face tonight is because my craft room is in call it disarray. I'm mid craft room renovation, and so everything is just everywhere. So this is a little bit of an impromptu Facebook Live for me tonight, because I've kind of had to pull everything together at the last minute, because I've had no time to prep because I've had the kids all day, and everything is all over my craft room. So that's the designer series paper in the suite. There is also then the stamp set, the coordinating dies, and a new embossing folder. Now this is so pretty. I have embossed a panel of Misty Moonlight already. Look at the texture on that. Oh, it is so nice. I love this, and I really like it in blue. I think that works, doesn't it, in a blue? Anyway, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to cut this paper, and we're going to chop it in a particular way. So I've got my trimmer, and I'm going to cut it so we've got kind of these two. Now I'm trying to make sense. You're going to put the piece of paper into your trimmer so that you're going to cut it down the middle, and you're going to end up with the same thing on both halves. So at 6 inches, because it's a 12 by 12 sheet of paper, so we're going to go at 6 inches initially, and that gives us 2 strips that look like that. Now that is too tall for a standard UK card base. So a standard UK card base is a piece of A4 cardstock, cut in half and folded. So you get that. Now that is bigger, or that is not actually quite 6 inches tall. So we're going to have to trim a little bit more before we trim across. Now I am going to take this white bit at the top. My card bases, and I have mentioned this before, I have on my blog, and I will link it in the on the blog post that will go along with this card over the weekend. My standard card base is 10.5 centimetres by 14.8, or 14.8 and a half actually, because I don't trim any off. So I want to make my piece of designer series paper 0.5 centimetre shorter and narrower than that. So I'm going to cut this at 14.3 centimetres. And that will then sit nicely on my card with a border that goes all the way around. So I'm then going to chop 3 pieces of designer series paper at 10 centimetres. That's 1. 2. 3. And you can see that will now fit really nicely onto our card base. So that's 3 cards on 1 sheet. Now I'm going to turn, this time I'm going to chop the bottom, so we're going to have a little bit more white space at the top, just so we can see the different look. So again, 14.3 centimetres tall and 10 centimetres wide. I think that the imperial measurements, I know the imperial measurements for my cards are available on my blog, but I tend to work in centimetres for cards just because it fits my brain. My brain functions better, but the imperial measurements are available. So we have now got 6 card fronts that are going to go onto our cards like that. Now I have already pre-cut and pre-scored 6 card bases, so I've got 3 in Misty Moonlight, and I have got 3 in Cinnamon Cider, just for a bit of a different look. And Cinnamon Cider, I've got to admit, is a colour I haven't used very much of. And what I've done is I've kind of cut random things and we're going to just see what works to make some cards with. So I do need some glue, because I have not reached for my box of adhesives. So I at least need some Stampin' Seal. So, first one, we are going to just pop some seal on the back of our designer series paper and pop that straight down onto our card front. Super, super simple. These cards should come together really quite quickly. They'd come together even quicker if I remember where I'd put my die cut pieces. Ah, there they are. So I have already run a few bits through my stamp and cut and emboss machine, just so I have a few bits ahead of time, but there probably will be some stamping and some more die cutting in a minute. So let's have a look. Let's keep this first card really, really simple. And we're just going to take a really simple stamped sentiment. These labels, by the way, are basic white, and they are cut with the dies that are in the suite. So you've got 2 label dies in the suite, and they cut these really lovely little labels that have a sort of embossed edge. I don't know how well you can see that because I haven't got my usual lighting either. So let's have a look for a sentiment that's going to fit. Let's go for I believe in you. That'll do. So this is a photopolymer stamp set, and Stampin' Up have changed the way that they're packaging their photopolymer stamps with the new catalogue. So I will show you that in a second. I'm going to stamp this sentiment in Mary Malone. Can you hear that? That is my child, who should be asleep. It's her 2nd birthday next week. I cannot believe how quickly it has gone. So, I am just going to pop some seal on the back of there and pop that straight down onto our card base. And that is as simple as card making needs to be. That sentiment could be anything. It could be birthday, it could be thinking of you. I mean, that would be a really lovely thinking of you card, wouldn't it? A couple of jewels on that and that would look lovely. So, Stampin' Up have changed the way they're packaging their photopolymer stamp sets, in that you now get a sheet of photopolymer stamps, and they come on this sheet, but the stamp case has now got the images printed on the inside of it, so that you can stick your photopolymer stamps onto the image and you can see really quickly which ones you've got missing. Love this idea, I think it's brilliant. So let's do another one. So I'm going to take another piece of designer series paper. I'm going to use one of the cinnamon cider pieces this time. And that's just a totally different look as well, isn't it? You see, you know, we could make the exact same card again, but it would look different because I've got a different coloured cardstock background. So let's go for I'm thinking of you on my block, and I want one of the long thin, I'm going to use cinnamon cider ink. Just like that. Isn't that so pretty? And then I have already gone ahead and die cut a tree, just to add something extra onto this card. Now, these dies are really stunning. And what I have done, and this is a tip I found on the Stampin' Up Instagram account a few weeks ago, is that before I took any of these dies off this sheet, I ran the whole thing through my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. So the sheet is now embossed. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see this. Can you see that? Yes, you can see exactly where the dies go because I have kind of embossed the dies into the sheet. I don't know about you, but sometimes you get a pack of dies home, particularly when they're complicated ones like this, and you cannot work out how on earth they go back on, and it stresses me out a bit. And then they float around everywhere in the packet because you just don't bother putting them back because what's the point, because they're never all going to fit. So this way you can see exactly where they go really quickly. So I've already gone ahead and die cut this lovely tree in early espresso, and I am just going to pop a little bit of seal on the back like that, and then sentiment strip on, and we've just added something extra to that card, haven't we? You know, with that extra die cut element, and these cards come together so quickly because you're you know, essentially the design list paper is doing all of the work for you. You know, you don't have to do anything extra. So let's do another one. Again, design list paper straight down onto the card, and you could get your pack of paper home and just cut your paper so it's this size and kind of ready to go. If all you're going to make with your design list paper is card fronts, then chop all your design list paper as it comes into your craft room, because that way you're not tempted to sit there and go, oh, it's so pretty, I can't chop that. You know, or buy 2 packs, then you've got a pack to chop and a pack to stroke. That's always another choice. So I'm going to take a piece of cardstock that I have embossed with that beautiful embossing board, and actually it's a bit wide. That's a 2-inch width. I'm going to chop that down to 1 inch, I think. See, sometimes I work in centimetres, sometimes I work in inches. Just how my brain works. I tend to pick whatever measurement fits best. So, a 2.5 centimetre wide strip of cardstock, and it's just going to add that extra little bit of texture, like so, and that's 10.5 centimetres, so it's the same width as our card. And then I'm going to take another, and I'm going to go for I Believe in You again, and I'm going to do it in Mary Mallow again because then I don't have to clean my stamp. I'm going to be very lazy about it. Has everybody seen the inside of the new catalogue by now, by the way? I did send out an email with the PDF in it on Tuesday. If you haven't signed up for my email newsletter, by the way, you totally should. The link is on my Facebook page, is on my blog, is on my YouTube, I think. I don't send emails out particularly regularly. My aim is once a month. And I try and kind of fill it with interesting things, either about, you know, sometimes I'll tell you a little bit about me. So you get some kind of fun facts, you get all the stamping news, and I do hope to throw in some projects as well. I will admit the projects have been a little bit lacking recently because I just have not had time, but my plan, my aim, is once I've got my craft room sorted, and my brain will be a bit freer because my craft room has become really cluttered. I'm sure you guys are, you know, you've been in a craft room. If you've got a craft room yourself, you completely get. They just fill up with stuff. And I've got to the point now, I've been a demonstrator 7 years this year, and I just needed to kind of have a clear out and a sort and an organise. And I haven't got 7 years worth of stuff, because I do get rid on quite a regular basis, but I have got 7 years worth of cards for a start. And so I just needed to kind of pare everything back, have a rearrange and a bit of a rejig. I have got a video, I've started to vlog that, so the process, so that will be coming to my YouTube channel, hopefully very soon. So that's my third card with one sheet of designer series paper. And they're all different so far, aren't they? Love this. And this is properly, you know, you can do this in a really relaxed fashion. You know, you don't need to make cards really complicated. It's, you know, I really enjoy a really complicated card. I really enjoy a card that I've sat and coloured with Stampin' Blends or watercolour or whatever, but sometimes you just need some quick ideas and, you know, cards that come together really fast. So we've got another tree die that looks a little bit more like the trees in the paper. You see? Love this. And then there is also there are two dies in the set that cut out tree stamps. So I am going to stamp this one, I think. Or should we do the little one? No, let's do the little one. So onto piece of basic white cardstock, and I'm going to go for Old Olive. Now there isn't a lot of Old Olive in this paper, so this might not work, but we shall see. So Old Olive there, and look, you've got kind of a two-tone effect tree just with the stamping, because the stamps are so clever. And then there is another layer to this tree, yeah. So I'm going to grab my Mossy Meadow as well. And my Mossy Meadow ink pad is a little bit worse for wear, so this might not stamp particularly well. We shall give it a go. Oh, good enough. Just to add some texture. So close up my ink pads before I put my elbow in them. And I am going to take the coordinating die and bring in my cut and emboss machine. Now, because these are all kind of thin dies, you need the same sandwich. So it's plate 1, plate 2 and 2 plate number 3s, and all of the plates that you need come with the machine. We're not, you know, Stampin' Up aren't asking you to buy the machine and then buy a load of separate plates for it. So I am going to just kind of quickly run this through, and it might not be cut completely centrally, but I think as a tree it's probably okay. We shall see. Yes, that's absolutely fine, in my opinion. Oh, throw everything about. So you can see, look, it's so pretty and really easy. You know, quick pass through your big. I'm still continuing to call it a big shot. It is not a big shot. It is the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. It does come in 2 sizes, by the way. I do have the big version, but there is a kind of smaller one as well. And I think pretty much most of the dies in this set should pass through the smaller machine. I think you might struggle with the two big trees. Certainly the labels and the little tree will go through the smaller cut and emboss machine. So, is everybody having a nice week? It's always nice when it's a 4-day week, isn't it, after a bank holiday? I had a lovely, relaxed weekend of doing not very much, which means I'm trying to catch up this week. Because as well, this week is my last official week of maternity leave before I go back to work. I am off on holiday next week, and we are actually away, so that's a good point, there will not be a Facebook Live next week, because I am in the middle of somewhere, / nowhere, in a campsite somewhere. So, I'm going to pop that tree there, and I want some dimensionals for my leaves. I do still have some copies of the catalogue as well, if anybody wants a physical copy of the catalogue, if you've not got one already. Just drop me a message and I can pop one in the post to you. I haven't sent the catalogues out as standard this time, because most of my customers I've never had a catalogue, so, and they cost me money to purchase and to send out, and I have no issue with sending you one. I'll send you one absolutely for free if you want one, but if you're happy to shop from the website or from a PDF, but if you want one, just let me know. So that is that's our fourth card, using the same sheet of designer scissors paper, and you can see they do look so different. But this paper is still doing all of the work. So, 2 cards left to go. I'll pop some seal on the back of this piece of paper, and we'll go for another Misty Moonlight, because we've kind of alternated so far, I think, haven't we? So, let's have another piece of the embossing folder, like so, and I'm getting cocky now, and a big tree. Oh. Like that. Now, very, very rarely do I ever put a die cut square in the middle of a card, because it's not something that my eye likes to look at. So I tend to go, if you've noticed, kind of bottom third for this strip, and then I've put that off centre. If I put everything in the middle, everything kind of really symmetrical, your eye doesn't like. If you look in nature, it's very unusual to come across things that are kind of perfectly symmetrical. There's always a little bit, if you think of a 3-leaf clover, you've got that, there's a 3 to it. It's not exactly symmetrical. So your eye tends to like things that are a little bit off. And I prefer things that are a little bit wonky. But that also might be just my stamping. I am sorry as well. This always happens to me. I get halfway through a Facebook Live and then my nose gets snuffly. Doesn't help that my daughter has brought a cold home from nursery this week. So we are all kind of, it's not COVID. I have done a test, I promise. Not that it matters because I'm in the middle of, I'm on my own in a room and you're on Facebook Live. But yeah, I have done a quick test, and I do not believe that it is COVID. But yeah, it's definitely a cold. But yeah, even without that, I still end up snuffling on Facebook Live, and I don't really know why. So, sentiment on there. Just like that, and I'm going to pop that there, I think. Which leaves us with one card left. So, what have we already got? I'm going to keep this one really, really simple, and I am literally just going to do another stamped sentiment, and keep it simple, and just let that designer series paper do all of the talking. So seal on the back, and there we go, and that is 6 cards using one sheet of designer series paper. Quick and as simple as that. Thank you ever so much for joining me today. If you want, where's my copy of the catalogue gone? I did have one. It ran away. There it is. If you want a copy of this catalogue, like I said, do let me know. All the products that I've used today are from the Beauty of the Earth suite, which is on page 10. So it's right at the front of the catalogue. And you can purchase all the things that are kind of bundled together. So there's one item number, which gets you the paper, the stamps, the dies, and the embossing folder, all added to your basket at once, which makes shopping really easy, doesn't it, when they do that? I love that. Just makes things easy. I would love to see your card creations, so do share what you make with me. And I won't see you next week, but I will see you again the week after. Thanks ever so much for watching. Bye for now.